Hey guys, this is Bryant, and today I will be showing you how to use Inkscape. So first you're going to want to go online and find some silhouetted images to begin. Once you've got those images, you need to drag them onto your workspace. Once you have them in, you're going to want to trace bitmap. So let's zoom out a bit. You need to click on the image, go Path, Trace Bitmap. So at first you're only going to be using brightness cutoff. Go Update, OK. It'll create another image. You're going to want to cut the original image so you don't get confused. Now let's do that for the rest of the images. So once you have them traced bitmap, they're not images anymore, they're vectors. See those little squares? They tell the computer where to go. Once you have everything vectored out, you're going to want to scale to what you think looks good. Now, once you scale to what you want and place them, you want to make sure everything overlaps, at least with one point. Because if it doesn't overlap, like if the wolf's out here and you cut it out, it's not going to connect to the sign, it's just going to fall away. So you want to make sure everything is touching another part. Now once you've got to that point, you're going to want to shift click and select everything. But you can't do it normally with the selector tool very easy. Sometimes you have to use the vector tool. Makes it easier. And then you're going to want to go Path, Union. Now as you can see, this is not separate parts anymore. This is one piece. Now, after you get this piece, let's say you wanted to add some text. You're going to want to use the rectangle tool and create a rectangle. Doesn't matter how big, small, anything. It just has to connect with the sign. Now once you've drawn your rectangle, you're going to want to go Path, Object to Path. Now, this is a vector. After it's a vector, you're going to want to draw a second rectangle. I'll make it a separate color just so it's easier. You're going to want to overlap, so you make your box. Then you're going to go Path, Object to Path. Now, once you have this, it'll automatically be selected. But if it's not, you want to go Shift click, select them both. Then you're going to want to Path, Difference. Now there's a hole here. And since this is overlapping that hole, you're going to want to drag it down till it isn't in this hole, but it's still connected to the sign. Once you've got this hole, you're going to want to use the text creator and click here. Let's say you wanted to make a sign for the metal shop. And you just type this out and size it, a little too big, and place it where you want. Well, you're going to have to make sure that at least part of the letters are overlapping somewhere on the top, the bottom. They have to be touching, or they'll fall away when it's cut out. So now that you've got it overlapped like this, you want to go Path, Object to Path. While it's selected, of course. Path, Object to Path. Then you're going to want to go Path, Break Apart. Makes this separate pieces. Now you're going to want to shift click everything, and you're going to go Path, Union. Makes this connect with the box. Shift click with the sign, Path, Union. Now everything is one piece, but Let's say you wanted to cut the letters out of the metal instead of having them on the metal. So you draw your box. Path, object to path. And you type out what you want. You size it. And you go through everything that I told you. Now, they're each their own vector. Well, instead of combining them, like you did with the previous, if you combined them, well, if you union them, they just disappear. What you're going to want to do is shift click, one letter at a time. This is important. Path, difference. Path, difference. And you repeat this, cutting out each letter individually. Now, you run into some other things when you're cutting out letters from the sign instead of cutting the metal away from the letters. You notice for the E and the A, they have this little piece floating. Well, you're going to have to connect it. So what you're going to want to do is draw a rectangle or something of appropriate size to connect. And you drag it over because it needs to connect. Now, since that's overlaid, path, object to path. Then use your vector tool, select that and that, then path, union. Now, that won't fall. And then you repeat the same steps with the A. And see how it's snapping and that can get annoying? You can go up to this corner and turn off snap to node. Now, it'll let you move freely without trying to autocorrect. And then you can path, union. And then you're going to want to export file, export or print, but you don't want to print. You're going to want to save as a DXF. Right here, desktop cutting plotter. You're going to want to save as a DXF and then take this down to SheetCam to cut out. If you have any problems, talk to your metal shop instructor. Thank you. Have a nice day.